G'day and welcome to Kenty Blitz, your daily hit of NRL news. Kenty, some great numbers for us over the past month with a lot of podcast viewers and a lot of YouTube viewers. So I just wanted to mention that and say thanks to everybody. I know it's been a big part of your life the last month.
Yeah, look, it's been nice to see, Warren. Obviously, it's an unfamiliar world that you and I are both in here. So we're just forging ahead, but the numbers have been very strong recently, and it's sort of that's the way it's trending, which is the big thing. So I appreciate it. So thanks for everybody who has been tuning in, and hopefully we can keep the ship running.
Keep the dream alive. Don't forget to subscribe and like, and it's been enjoyable, Kenty, and long may it continue. One quick thing is that tomorrow morning, Fanatics Tours go on sale to Vegas. So thefanatics.com, Wednesday morning, get on board. It's one hell of a time over there. Can't wait to go again. Mate, today's Tuesday. Yesterday was the day when the Bears coach was supposed to be announced. Hasn't been announced yet.
Yeah, look, it hasn't been announced. We were led to believe that Monday was going to be the day, if not then Tuesday. So here we are, Tuesday afternoon. Nothing's happened. But look, I spoke to the NRL about this, wondered where it's at. Essentially, they're at the final stages of the contract. It's the little stuff that's just being sorted out, but essentially the deal has been agreed to. They wouldn't tell me who it was, but I'll tell you it's Mal Meninga. Look, we all know that. There's no secrets in that, but it's definitely Mal Meninga.
Can you get a bet on?
Well, if you can get on. Put the mortgage on it. So it's as safe as bet as you'll get right now, and unless there's some sort of catastrophic blow up between here and there, it'll be signed off pretty soon. And the NRL expects that there'll be an announcement later this week. So I'd say they'll try and get away with it about Thursday. If not Thursday, then it certainly should be done by Friday. But Mal Meninga is going to be the new coach. Well done, Mal. And I tell you what, the Bears are back, so it's going to be heating up pretty quickly from that moment on. Once the coach is there, they sign their first player. All those old black and red fans, they can get excited.
Oh, we're getting on board. Very good. Well, it's team list news today, and interestingly, Lachie Galvin hasn't been named in the 17. He's been named at 23 today. Yeah,
no, funny, isn't it? Serraldo said earlier today that he'd be named in the 22. Well, he's got jersey 23, or maybe it's the only one that fixed him. So we'll wait and see what happens there.
Michael Jordan, maybe?
Yeah, it could be that too. Who knows? Shane Warne, all the rest of them. Yeah, the greats have got 23. Now, look, it's just the journey continues, doesn't it? So Galvin will be back.
What does that mean? What does it mean that he's not named in the 17, do you think?
Well, I think in some instances, I think it's just to take the pressure off him. They're trying to take the conversation away from him. It puts uncertainty around whether he's actually going to play this weekend or not.
Yep.
Look, the one thing we don't know, he hasn't been carrying injuries, so it's not like he's got anything to nurse there, which a week off would help. He doesn't need the game time as much, so that would explain why they're not playing him in State Cup.
Okay.
But
you think he would have played?
I would have played. Look, that was one of the things that Serraldo brought up with him, the possibility he might play reserve grade, which we called, and he was open to that, which went down well with the coaching staff there. Yeah, so that's all good for Galvin. But I also can't see any point in naming him on an extended bench this week if he's not going to get game time. I think he'll be playing for sure. He won't start, but he'll get on at some point. They've just got to get him on, and just at some point they've got to put the toe in the water, and that's what they'll be doing. He might get 15 minutes, 20 minutes at the end of the game, something like that, and just to see how they go. The game situation will also have a bearing on that.
Well, halfway through the season now, does that mean Toby Sexton's dead man walking?
Look, I don't like to use that phrase, but yes, he is. So, look. To be fair, the Bulldogs have said, look, it's his job, spot to lose, but he's going to lose it. They brought Galvin there for a reason. Sexton has been their starting halfback, but there's also a reason why they brought Galvin in this season. So they're going to make sure that they don't waste that opportunity, and they've got to try and start to turn him into a halfback. Is the other thing. So the earlier they get working on that, the better. For all the Bulldogs fans who rip into us each day on the comments, we hope it works out for you because it's a big decision, right? Look, I do. I really do hope it works out. Yeah. The thing I'm loving this year, Warren, the Bulldogs are playing a style of footy that's not the style of footy that has been winning competitions. and it's been for the last 10 years, has been the style of footy that everyone plays with, that shape out the back.
Yeah.
The Bulldogs are playing a different style of footy, and that's why I love the Raiders too. The Raiders are playing a different style of footy, and both coaches in both instances the Bulldogs deliberately have settled on a smaller pack, more mobile pack, and they're playing a game of footy that suits that. Suits that. They've got these utility players, these guys who are, who can just fit into any position and play any spot. They can play any one of 3 or 4 different spots. And so they're playing towards that. And it's really exciting to watch them play and not play that traditional shape that everyone has been playing for so many years. And the Raiders are doing the same thing. And they're running 1 and 2. It's not like they're experimenting with a style. Ricky Stewart has sat there with a team and he's coaching a style of play that suits the players he's got. Unlike a lot of coaches who go, well, we can't win because we don't have the players. Both coaches have looked at the squads they've got and found a style of footy that suits those squads.
Well, it's
and
interesting.
I really admire that about them.
It's interesting because Gus signed all those players.
They copped a lot of criticism.
In multiple same positions and said, we're just going to get the players in and see how they fit.
Yeah. Well, it's an old footy philosophy. Pick the best players and find a position for it. That's an old footy philosophy. The Bulldogs sort of went a little bit further and actually signed utility players. But you've only got to look at their pack is generally smaller than all the other packs. Now, the Raiders have a big pack, but they've got a lot of second phase footy. The amount of offloads the Raiders are getting through in a game, phenomenal. And that's just so hard to defend. The Bulldogs have got these littler pack, very good laterally, very good on their feet, very fit, high energy, and they just keep punching in behind the play of the ball until they sort of start to rupture the defensive line, and then they play footy at you. So they've got different styles of play, but they're both being successful at it. It's been a long time since teams. You'd have to. I would almost go back. For an obvious example, back to the 90s with the Raiders and the Broncos, who had completely different styles of footy, but were both successful in their own right. Before that was Parramatta and Canterbury in the 80s. Completely different styles, but both successful in their own right. And look, this isn't quite as stark as back then, but it's nice to see, rather than that boring shape and that copycat football that every team was playing for so many years. We're seeing different styles and they're winning games with those different styles.
Yeah, it's been excellent. Mate, over at Manly, Tommy Trbojevic is out.
Yeah, out
again with a cork thigh.
Cork thigh, yeah. Look, I think it's a pretty prudent decision from Anthony Seibold.
Safe decision.
Yeah, he's carrying a cork thigh. Now, they are injuries. If he goes out and has a game, if he gets a knock on it, then it bleeds again. Even if he doesn't get a knock on it, the amount of exercise or running he's doing and the impact on his body it will fill with blood again. The contusion. So with a 5-day turnaround after this weekend's game, they thought, well, we play that. That means he's in danger for the next game as well. And it can be in danger then of the third game if things don't go well. So what they've decided to do, let's rest him this week and make sure that by the time we come around for the round 15 game, he's in good shape. And I think that's a smart decision.
So that was the same injury that ruled him out of Origin 1.
Yeah.
So this rules him out of Origin 2.
Well, look, I don't think he's going to get picked anyway.
No.
To be fair,
if there's an injury, he's not going to come back now.
No. So let's put a line through that. But no, I think it's the same with Kalen Ponga. Okay, where everyone was critical of Adam O'Brien last week for not picking him in the Newcastle side, and they lost the game, which doubled down on the criticism. Adam O'Brien did the right thing. Okay, Kalen Ponga's got an ankle injury that has been troublesome, and it takes him some time after he plays for the ankle to get moving again, to get it, that little bit of, he needs some activity, and there's a lot of physio on it, and it takes a few days for him to get sort of active and get it moving again. Now, he could have played, yes. But let's remember last year, Bradman Best had a slight hamstring problem, played Origin, came back, played on the weekend. Because he was under fatigue, he tore the hamstring well and truly, and he was out 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So they could have rested him last week. They learned their lesson because they didn't. And they instead of missing him for 1 week, they lost him for 6. You wouldn't want to do that with Ponga. You wouldn't want to have played him last week and risk so soon after another game that he injures well and truly, and then suddenly you lose him for an extended period. So that's part of navigating your way through the season. That's okay to do that. That's what coaches, that's what their consideration is. And all these critics that jumped on Adam O'Brien's back saying, well, he should have played him. You're there to win games. Yeah, you are to win games. But who's to say by making the short-term decision now to rest him, you get him for the next 6 weeks and you might win 4 of those 6, whereas if you'd played him, potentially lose him because he aggravated an injury that's not quite well enough to play again at that time. And then you lose him for 3, 4, 5 weeks. You might go on 3, 4 game losing streak. No one's to know. It's all up in the air. They did what they thought was right. That's all you can ask of them.
Yeah. Well, the Knights this week are out without Leo Thompson, who pleaded guilty, got 4 weeks. This was his 3rd charge. Particularly nasty crusher, I thought. Anyway,
it was a grade 2. Yeah, so it was a bad one.
And but then they've also got Adam Elliott out now for 3 months, so they're going to be.
It's going to be a tough time. It's going to be a tough time, particularly for a team that's struggling to score points.
Yes,
that's going to be they've got Manly on Thursday night.
Short turnaround again.
Short turnaround, and you'd have to You'd have to think, even though the Knights are at home, you'd have to think it's going to be a Manly victory. I would say. Yeah. Even without Tom.
So, mate, the Broncos look to have, I guess, hit the panic button. Lost 6 of the last 7.
Yeah.
Probably
that'll do it for you.
Yeah, probably leans towards that.
Yeah.
Mate, looks like they're going to pick, well, they have picked Reece Walsh at fullback.
Yeah.
They said he was a 50-50 chance, but they picked him.
Yeah, and the fact that they've picked him with a bye next week, so rather than just say, okay, let's have 1 more week off, which will give him a 2-week longer break, the fact that they've brought him back in shows you where they're at, the Broncos. But they do need someone like him. They're very uninspiring in attack at the moment, the Broncos. It's very pedestrian the way they're going through their game. And the Broncos are at their best when they've got Ezra Mam and Reece Walsh running the ball. And the fact that Michael Maguire's brought him back and ignored all that shows you the pressure he's under. He's under a lot of pressure up there, Michael Maguire. And fairly or unfairly, he's getting a taste of what it's like to coach in a town like Brisbane, where the Broncos have been the big dogs for so many years. It is daily that they have the media turn up, all the television cameras. They're there every day, and there's just so much, eyes on what they do that you really can't get on with much. And I think Michael Maguire, look, I know he wouldn't like it. How much he's struggling with it, remains to be seen. But I think it's been a bit tough for him. And
that's what he wanted, these
losses. Well, he did.
He picked his poison. That's what he wanted.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. He wanted the job. It is a big job. He understood that. But he's feeling the rough end of it right now. But the Broncos really need to turn it around. We keep talking about it and we keep expecting it. That's the thing. Everybody thinks this will be the week that they'll come out and do it. But if anything, the Broncos are looking worse with each week at the moment.
6 or 7's dreadful.
Yeah, look, they've had bad periods before, the Bronx, and they've generally broken out of them. But I just don't know where they go. Like, Walsh will help them, but that doesn't help the team chemistry and the way they're playing. They just need more commitment right across the park. They need more buy-in from the players. And until then, they're going to continue to struggle.
Well, they're coming 11th now. They're playing the 17th place Titans, and the Titans, interesting, because I know this is something that is particular for your interest. Is that the Titans tried to get AJ Brimson chosen? He was on a concussion protocol.
Yeah,
and his concussion protocol went past his game, and they applied to the NRL to get him on.
Yeah, so they applied for an exemption to play him now. So last Thursday, I think it was, AJ Brimson got knocked out at training. He failed his HIA, which means an immediate 11-day stand down, which come the day of the game will be only day 9. But because the Titans are busted with injuries, they asked the NRL for an exemption to let him play. I found this almost comical, to be honest.
What's the point of having a protocol?
Exactly. Yeah. Look, the brain doesn't know. Now, when I say he got knocked out, he wasn't apparently knocked unconscious, but he was knocked out enough that he was woozy. He went and did his HIA test and he failed. He failed the test, which is important. But the brain doesn't know whether you're knocked out in a game or knocked out at training. It just knows it's been knocked out. So to try and ask for an exemption, I just thought, for the life of me, couldn't see how they were going to get around that. But look, they've been knocked back, and the Titans are down on injuries. They've got a lot to come up with. They might play the Broncos back in the form this week, the Titans. They have been sort of having to go in and out of games, the Titans. They're a bit hard, again, to pick who turns up. But Yeah, it's going to be tough for them. They've got a fair few players out.
Over at St George Illawarra, Jaden Sewer is out this weekend, and that basically rules him out for Origin. And you were saying that, he might be the starch that Queensland need.
Well, Queensland needs something in the middle to try and turn around New South Wales. And Jaden Sewer, this would have been his opportunity this week to go out and go up against the Dolphins, show him what he can do. But he misses that opportunity now. He's got a syndesmosis strain. It's not a bad one, but it's enough to see him out of the game this week, which is basically his last chance, I think, to really impress. But he's not going to solve Queensland's problems the way things are going, and that's something Billy's going to have to figure out, Billy Slater. But yeah, they're going all right though, the Dragons. I like the way they're playing, given the roster they've got.
Well, the other big thing out of the Dragons is Terrell Sloan's been dropped.
Yeah.
So, not too many years ago, he was the new superstar, right?
Look, it's a funny one with me, Warren, because I say this respectfully, I've never been a Terrell Sloan fan as such. Everyone watches him with the ball, and he's one of the most beautiful ball runners I've ever seen. And he's deadly with the ball. But his defensive deficiencies are so critical. I would have struggled to pick him in first grade. Yeah, for the way I rationalise it is I say there's no point scoring 2 tries every game if you're allowing 3. And my concern there was whenever you saw a try scored against the Dragons, he was never in the picture. Now, if you go to the best defensive fullback ever, Billy Slater, whenever they scored against Melbourne, Billy Slater was either under him, coming across to knock him over. He was somewhere there. Sloan is getting there 2 steps too late, falling off a tackle, just like a straight miss because he's tried to jump a grab. And he just wasn't physical enough defensively to for me to justify picking him. As beautiful as he is running the ball and as dangerous as he is running the ball, his defensive deficiencies were too far down on his attacking ability to justify that. And we saw a couple last week. I'm not surprised he's been dropped.
Yeah, okay.
Even as dangerous as he is, like last week, he's just got this casual attitude towards the game, which primarily comes out in his defence. But we saw it last week when he dropped the ball over the try line. Okay, and that's just a no-no. Yeah, and particularly in a game like it was last week where they desperately needed it.
I hope he comes good because he's still a young bloke, down on his confidence.
He's got a lot of time left in the game. He's got to make a decision whether he wants to get involved and understand that rugby league works 2 ways: when you've got the ball and when they've got the ball. And when they've got the ball, you got to tackle. You can't be. The last fullback that refused to tackle was the Frenchman Pure Bear in the 50s. He used to lean against the goalpost having a smoke.
Yeah, right.
And if his teammates missed him and the guy was coming through, he wouldn't even try and tackle him. He'd argue and say, well, if 12 blokes can't stop him, how do you expect 1 bloke?
Is that on YouTube?
I'll
have to look that up.
But he's famous. Pure Bear, his name was. Okay. One of the greatest fullbacks of all time. Whoever played the game, Pure Bear, but refused to tackle. Unfortunately, the game's moved on since then.
Okay, very good. Mate, over at South, Cody Walker was returned. Whiten's returned.
Yeah, big ins for South Sydney.
Big ins.
Cody Walker, Jack Whiten both back. Jack's back to go down to Canberra and play down there against his former side.
Yeah.
I tell you what, they'll have a warm welcome for him down there. But good luck to the Rabbitohs. They've needed them back, and they're back. And I tell you what, they're just a much more formidable side, aren't they, with those in the team? But I still think the Raiders, the way they're going, it's going to be a tough afternoon for the Rabbitohs.
And a massive injury is Mitch Barnett is out.
Yeah,
and he's out for the season with an ACL, so he's out of Origin.
We'll
get to the Warriors. What happens to the Warriors in a minute? But what happens with the Blues? What do they do?
Well, I think the way Laurie's looking at the moment is Utoi Kamano is going to be. Or Yuto Ikamanu is going to be
because he was in the squad.
He was in the squad. He played Origin last year for 1 game. He's in the squad for game 1, so he sort of understands a little bit of what the game plan and the systems and all that Laurie's playing. So there won't be a lot of fast tracking there. And he obviously is we all think he's a future Origin mainstay. So he's there.
Would you pick him over Terrell May?
Yeah, I would. Given the fact that he was in the in the extended squad this time.
Mm-hmm.
Terrell May, look, it's a funny one because any denial of putting him in the side immediately goes back to the social media comment he made about tearing up the jersey or ripping up or whatever it was. But I just think he's got to bide his time. I think he's in the conversation. He's there or thereabouts. But I just think there's a guy in front of him at the moment. The unlucky one, I think, is going to be Jake Trbojevic. He was captain last year, unavailable for game one because he was being stood down with concussion protocols. He's now available, playing this weekend. A prop position has become available, but he'll probably miss out again as essentially the incumbent captain. So that's going to be a tough call. That's going to be a tough conversation for Laurie to make when he has to make it. But at the moment, it does look like Utoi Kamano is going to be the guy that New South Wales will go with.
What about a Smoky, Kalamatangi?
Look, he moved to the middle about 3 weeks ago, and he's been really, really strong since he's gone there. And look, you're not going to, to quote the phrase that when you they're not going to get picked, but you don't want to give them a bagging. You say
they won't let anyone down.
They won't let anyone down. Look, no, and he would. He would be tremendous. He really. I just think there's a couple of guys in front of him. But you're certainly not going to miss much if you had to go to Kalamatangi. He's just he's an Origin player. He's just waiting to get his jersey. So
probably added about $300,000 a season too by moving into the middle.
Well, look, Wayne Bennett
paid a lot more than back rowers.
They are, and Wayne Bennett clearly saw he had it in him, and he's shown that, hasn't he?
So, mate, what does Mitch Barnett's injury mean for the Warriors now? It's
a big question mark for the Warriors. They've been strong all season, underestimated all season. They're currently sitting third on the ladder, equal second, I think, with the Raiders. And so they've got to find someone. Look, they've got good players over there. They've got, in many ways, guys who will nearly get to the level of Mitch Barnett. But by the same token, he's an Origin caliber player. He's a starting Origin prop, and they're going to be missing him. And that's a big hole in anyone's roster.
Yeah,
it really is. And the Warriors have done a tremendous job of just putting this squad together, a little bit mix and match, where they're all going out and they're playing for each other and they're doing their job. And defensively, they're so strong. But Barnett and Fisher Harris, when the Warriors are at their best when those two are running the team out, and unfortunately they're going to be down without one of them for the year. So it's going to be a big loss for the Warriors. Does it knock them out of premiership contention? I'll tell you what, it's put a big bruise on it. But look, they're still there, but it just depends what happens with other teams now.
Mate, speaking of ACLs, it looks like Sam Walker's back this week.
Yeah.
In reserves.
In reserve grade. Well, they're giving him a run back this week.
And the Roosters got the week off.
Well, they've got the bye, so I think it's smart coaching. Bring him back, give him a run. After coming off such a long layoff where you've had a leg injury, so it's really affected your running, it doesn't hurt to give him a reserve grade run to get a little bit of clean the cobwebs out, so to speak, and
get
it's
his
just
timing right.
But you just want a bit of a blowout. You want to go out, you want to play a game. It'll be slightly slower pace than what it is at NRL level, which is good. Go out. You might only give him 50 or 60 minutes maybe, and take him off. Hopefully he's in a good spot, but just enough to just get out and just burn the lungs out and clear the pipes. Then and he doesn't. You don't lose a game for him.
Yep.
With the Roosters, because they've got the bye this week, and then he's available for next week. So I think it's a good idea.
So what do the Roosters do now when he comes back?
He'll come back in the 7. He'll go
seven?
back. Yeah,
okay.
Savala will go back to, I don't know, maybe a bench spot or back to State Cup. But
you're not tempted to keep Savala and put Walker at 6? Probably where he's going to play when DCE comes, right?
Yeah, it is. I don't think they'll go that way. Okay. Sandon Smith's been doing a good job. Savala has too. He's been really good for the Roosters.
Yeah.
So they are spoiled a little bit there. But Walker's going to be the key guy, and he's a halfback. He's essentially a halfback.
Yeah.
They'll make the decision next year if DCE or when DCE is there that he'll put on the 6 jersey and play that secondary role. But certainly in this team, he'll be the primary play caller, whether it's Savala or Sandon Smith. So that's why he'll be wearing the 7, which is why I think Smith will stay with him at 6.
And then we'll think about next year.
They'll deal with that then. Well, look, if DC ends up there next year, which we all think he's going to, of course he's going to be the primary play caller. And Walker's already said he'd be happy to take that back seat to him.
Yeah. Mate, Adam Reynolds this week brings up his 300th game.
Yeah.
Monumental effort for a small number 7,
Yeah, and the thing is too, look, I think he becomes the 55th player now to bring up 300 games. Now, I'm old enough, Warren, to remember when the very first guy played 300 games, Jeff Gerard. The second guy, I think, was Terry Lamb. Third guy was Paul Langmack. But
you're going to give us every 55, are you?
No, I'm not going to give you all 55. Fourth was Cliff Long. I was Eddinghausen actually fourth. But anyway, the point is, it used to be a very rare thing. Now, every year, there's 300 game guys coming up. But what I like about Reynolds is he's played nearly every minute of those games. He's not like a lot of these back rowers that get 300 games, and you look at it, they're averaging 26 minutes a week. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like Reynolds goes out and he plays the full game. He's been a little bloke. On the weekend, he did 39 tackles for a halfback. So he's still putting his body out there, and I just think he's a warrior. Like he's a kid from the lane ways of Redfern.
Yes,
and he's come from there. He's built a footy career. He's done won a premiership. He's got a lot to be proud of, and I think it's a real feather in his cap that after all these years, he's hit that 300 club. It's a testament to how tough he is and to how talented he is, and nothing but well done to him. Good on him.
There's a great episode of Chiming In on our network with his manager, Steve Gillis, who's also on here every now and then from a couple of weeks ago. So well done to Reynolds. It's a monumental effort, mate, and I read today that there's a chance to get another 1-year extension.
Well, it looks like they've offered him another year. Yep. So if he hopefully can find happiness in the deal, and Chimes does his job and gets enough zeros on the deal.
Yeah.
And because he has indicated he wants to stay in Brisbane. So good, yeah. Hopefully he ends up finishing his career in Brisbane.
Mate, what about this talk? And it is a lot of rumour and a lot of innuendo about Nathan Cleary heading over to France.
That's rubbish.
Bullshit.
Yeah, it's rubbish. Look. Okay. I don't know where that's coming from.
What about the Mary Flowers over there playing EPL women's?
Yeah, look.
You're not an old romantic, Kenty?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
And you know what?
I can think of Paris and love and,
Mate, it's a romance novel that won't be written. Okay, look.
Choose your own adventure book more.
Look, far be it for me to comment on Nathan Cleary's love life, okay?
But we will.
But what I will say is she is doing a tremendous job over there in England. He's doing a wonderful job here. And I get the impression both of them, as much as they would like to be living in the same country together, are not at that stage where one of them is willing to sacrifice what's left of their career for what the future might hold. Good on him. Nathan Cleary's not going to go and play rugby union. He's a rugby league man. I love the fact that he's a rugby league man, and he's the best player in the game. He's not going to go over there and play rugby union and
come back here and play for the Wallabies in the Rugby World Cup.
No way. Why would you do that? Why would you look at Nwangatu-Nuasi? No one knew who he was 2 years ago. Now he's a household name.
Well, let's talk about him because actually just before that. Just a little clip for Nathan. I know he watches the show, but absence makes the heart grow fonder, mate. Keep her over here, you over here. It'll end up a lot better. Trust me, I know that. That's a lot of experience.
Aunt Abby.
Mate.
Dear Abby, isn't it?
Yeah, let's talk about
Nwangatu-Nuasi.
That's him. Rookie of the year?
Rookie of the year. It's a funny one. He's eligible for it. He fits all the criteria. Should he be allowed to win Rookie of the Year?
Does it pass the pub test? What do you think?
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
It doesn't for me. He's a former Wallaby. He came back from the Olympics, had a couple of weeks in the sun, and then turned out for the Roosters playing rugby league. People will argue that technically he fits the criteria. He'd only played one game last year, which kept him as technically a rookie. And while he's a rugby league rookie, he's not an elite athlete rookie. Yeah, I just don't get why didn't Sam Burgess win it when he came over from English Super League? What's the difference, really? Like, just because you're new to the NRL competition, if you're an elite athlete, I don't think you should be eligible for Rookie of the Year. And that's not a knock on him. Like he's been a revelation what he's done this season. But I just don't think that imagine if like Ray Price had come over after getting off a Wallaby tour, signing with Parramatta, and wins Rookie of the Year. It just would have turned it into a farce. It just shouldn't. The NRL, the easy way for the NRL to explain it is, yes, while he's new to the NRL, he's not a rookie at that elite level. given he's an international in another sport.
Mm.
And so therefore he doesn't qualify. That's a simple way around it. Some people argue he's new to rugby league, so therefore he's eligible. But I just don't think it sits comfortably when if you put the say you pick 5 finalists for Rookie of the Year, this kid's 18, this kid's 19, this kid's 18, this kid's 20, this kid's, and then you've got him who's a former Wallaby, been to the Olympics and sevens for Australia for many, many years. He's sitting up there next to him. And I think in some ways he'd probably be uncomfortable with it too, to be honest.
Okay, looks like we've sold the Rookie of the Year again. Mate, all they need to do is come to us for their problems every day.
Well, we know all about rookies. We're rookie podcasters, so
there you go.
We can give advice.
That's it for us. See you tomorrow.